brisket.
NFL Live, brought to you by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Well, it's official. USC quarterback Sam Darnold has declared for the NFL draft after just 2 seasons running the Trojans offense. Darnold holds the unique distinction of being the only quarterback in USC school history to throw 5 touchdown passes in back-to-back games. Speaking of back-to-back, Darnold's declaration came just minutes after UCLA quarterback Josh Rosen, his crosstown rival, also announced he will be heading to the NFL. Rosen went 17-13 as a starter in 3 years with the Bruins, and his 16 300 passing yard games are the most in school history. So for more on these quarterbacks and all things draft-related, you bet, we bring in Mel Kiper Jr. Mel, I know you're hanging in there as the storm is on you in Baltimore as well. First and foremost, are you surprised at all that Sam Darnold declared after the season that he had at USC?
I think a little bit, Trey. I thought it would be in his best interest to go back. Andrew Luck did. Think about Peyton Manning. Another year really benefits you. The offensive line should be better next year. The young receivers emerged. Remember, going into this year, he lost his 2 top receivers, and he lost 3 offensive linemen, and that was compounded by injury. So I thought going back would help him, but he's in the draft. And I'll tell you what, Trey, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are the happiest people in the NFL because they have Jimmy Garoppolo, and they don't have to worry about evaluating these quarterbacks.
And they kept winning with Jimmy Garoppolo, which made it even less of an issue that they wouldn't be up there as high as they thought they might be at some point during the season. Okay, so right now on your billboard, you have Darnold, your big board rather, you have Sam Darnold 5th and Rosen 11th. As you've studied them, what do you think is the biggest difference in their games right now?
Well, I think when you look at Sam Darnold, he didn't finish strong. The Ohio State game, unforced errors again. He cost them 7 on a missed pass where he was overthrowing a receiver who was wide open for a touchdown, had a pick 6, had a fumble where it's kind of like a loaf of bread, holding like a loaf of bread in the pocket, not 2 hands, a bad habit he's developed because I think the offensive line let him down at too many points. But you can't be lax with the football, and that cost him 3 points. So if he doesn't have the unforced errors, Trey, they're in that game and may win it. And you think about Josh Rosen, he didn't finish strong either because he didn't play in the bowl game, 32 days in concussion protocol after missing 6 games last year with a shoulder injury. So durability issues with Rosen, turnover machine that Darnold was at various times of the year, and certainly was that again in the bowl game against USC, where he did not finish strong against Ohio State and that defensive front, as I say, in their final game. The last time you saw him, Sam Darnold did not go out with a bang.
Okay, all that being said, as you said, as we said, you have them 5th and 11th on your big board. But Cleveland, who needs a quarterback, and the Giants, who may need a quarterback, are there at 1-2. The odds either of these guys last past pick number 10 is what?
I think pretty much 0. I think you look at 5 of the 6 picks are outside of the Colts with Andrew Luck coming back hopefully 100% from the injury. Cleveland has 2 picks in there. They could go running back, they could go quarterback, or vice versa. They obviously need help on the offensive side. Defense looks like it could be pretty good. So 5 of those 6 picks, you could be looking at a quarterback in that discussion. And Josh Allen from Wyoming, Trey, the way he finished, granted it was against Central Michigan, but he's the quarterback that went out with that bang that Darnold hoped to go out with. So you got to think Josh Allen's going to be in that discussion. Mason Rudolph looked pretty good as well from Oklahoma State. And then you have Baker Mayfield. So you have all these quarterbacks between now and late April have to be evaluated. And we don't even have accurate measurables, Trey, on the underclassmen yet anyway. We won't find that out to the combine.
Yeah, we have until January 15th for all the underclassmen to officially declare as to whether or not they're going into the draft. Mel, the first of many chats, I believe, up until the draft in April. Stay warm, stay safe. We'll talk to you later, okay?
Always a pleasure, Trey. Take care, pal.
Mel Kiper Jr. with us. For more on this, let's bring in back Adam Schefter to talk about this. Adam, we talked about it. Cleveland, number 1. Giants, number 2. Any indication on who might go number 1 overall? We're still a few months out, obviously.
Well, Trey, I still think that ultimately you're looking at another one of those years where Jameis Winston goes 1, Mariota goes 2, Jared Goff goes 1, Carson Wentz goes 2, and I don't know the order that will shake out. But you have the Denver Broncos, the New York Jets, other teams lurking right outside those top few picks, that if the Cleveland Browns are dumb enough once again to trade out of that top spot or to not draft a quarterback with one of their top 2 picks in the first 4 overall selections, there are other teams that are waiting to pounce. And that is exactly why Cleveland hired John Dorsey to make sure that they get the decision right, that they get a quarterback, that they don't trade away the rights to a Carson Wentz or a Deshaun Watson. And then you have the Giants sitting there waiting to take another quarterback. I don't know that anybody knows right now exactly what order the quarterbacks will shake out, but I do think that there's a widespread expectation that quarterbacks will be amongst the first players picked in this draft, Trey.
All right, Adam Schefter, thanks very much. If they do go 1-2, it'd be the third time in 4 years. Obviously, last year, Myles Garrett went 1, and Mitchell Trubisky went number 2 when the Bears traded up with San Francisco to get that pick. Do you guys think there's any way Cleveland passes on a quarterback at number 1?
Absolutely not. I think they draft a quarterback, and I think John Dorsey cannot look back. In this Cleveland organization, they can't look back, but they had to move forward and draft the right way. And what do they need? They need a franchise quarterback. So whoever they fall in love with, whether if it's Rosen or Darnold, whoever they fall in love with at the quarterback position, that's where they go, because that's going to be the franchise for the years to come.
Can you imagine if one of these guys turns out to be a flop?
Oh,
for Cleveland, if they take him. And is it a guarantee that they take him? I don't know. John Dorsey. I mean, this is the offseason of the quarterback, Trey. I mean, Alex Smith's going to be a free agent.
Right. Kirk Cousins. We don't know what's going to happen with him.
Dorsey got history with Alex Smith. Absolutely. I mean, so maybe he solves his quarterbacks the veteran route before. Maybe he does both. Maybe he does both, because you got to make sure you got a quarterback for this team.
Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have a contract.
Stockpile with a lot of young talent, a lot of picks. Dorsey's got a lot of decisions to make.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because if you want to go back and look at Cleveland's ability and attempts to draft a quarterback in the first round since they got back into the league, it ain't great. In 2014, they used a second of their 2 first-round picks for Johnny Manziel. In 2012, they used the second of their 2 first-round picks for Brandon Whedon. In 2007, they used the second of their 2 first-round picks for Brady Quinn. And in 1999, when they had the first overall pick, they took Tim Couch.
that's been good.
How much,
Not good.
How much pushback do you get from these kids, too, if they don't want to get drafted by Cleveland?
Well, there were some
that's
reports that
interesting,
some players, some of these quarterbacks were thinking, hey, maybe I don't want to go to Cleveland if they get nothing.
Do I want to play for a team where your fans are celebrating an 0-16 season?
With a parade.
Where they're throwing a parade? Do I want to play for them? They have to decide that.
Yeah.
And players have power.
Yeah.
I get that part of it, but I mean, it's a dream come true to be drafted. It's a privilege to play in this league.
To be number 1 overall.
And to be number 1 overall.
These are quarterbacks. These are Steve Youngs out there, okay? I'm just telling you right now, all right? They got egos. They know where they got to go. They want things the way they want them. And Steve going to be back on this show? He'll probably get me back. But anyway, I'm sorry, Steve, but these are quarterbacks. They want things the way they want them.
I'm always watching, buddy. I'm always watching.
He's not wrong, though. I mean,
That's my man right there.
Eli Manning is a giant for that very reason.
Absolutely.
Eli Manning is a giant for that very reason.
Yes.
He wanted no part. The Manning family wanted no part of him going to San Diego, and there's that awkward picture in the 2004 draft where Eli's holding up that jersey like, Calgon, take me away.
Is there a Darnold family? Is there a Rosen family? I mean, let's see. We'll see.
You know what?
Maybe
I owe wide receivers an apology after that, because I always call them wide redivas. Maybe it's quarterbacks.
I still love you,
Steve.
Steve, you're my man. I love you, Steve.
All right, well, when we come back, we'll have Steve again, because our quarterback guru, doing this, by the way, is back to tell you which wild card quarterback has the best matchup this weekend. Quarterback Spotlight ahead on NFL Live, so stick around. Diva Spotlight.
Yeah.
You make me feel more than famous.
A lot of concerns in Philly, obviously, as Nick Foles has sputtered in his last couple of outings after that 4-touchdown performance in his first start, filling in for Carson Wentz with the torn ACL against the Jets. Foles, though, is upbeat that he and that Eagles offense, with a week off to get some rhythm going, will be able to turn it around in the playoffs once they find out who they're playing.
Looking back at the film last week, I mean, I felt improvement. I felt going. And obviously there's some stuff I can improve on. But at the same time today, I thought it was a lot better than on Sunday. And I think that's the thing. You just gradually progress and keep improving. And you have to keep looking at yourself critically. Like, obviously on Sunday and the week before, like, that's not how I want to play. But, like, if anyone's ever played a sport, like, you can't just sit here and say, okay, that's what it is. Like, I've had games like that, and I've come back from it, and I've played at a higher level. So you keep looking at it, you keep grinding, you keep working. And I thought today was a great step forward in the right direction. But it's not just about today. I just have to keep adding them up. And then when it comes to game time, just go out there and play.
All right, so will that be the case? Time for our quarterback spotlight. And for that, we welcome back our Hall of Fame quarterback, Steve Young, the sleet storm from Stanwich. Steve, first of all, how concerned would you be that Foles didn't end the regular season looking solid at all?
Well, as much as I was concerned when he had to come in at all in the first place. You know, I mean, I think that it's tough in a playoff-ready team that you're going to show up and all of a sudden it's just going to go super well, especially as the team glides in. They didn't mean to, but that's just what happens emotionally. You've got the lead. You don't play for anything at the end of the season. I've been in a lot of situations like that. And so now you're the guy that's trying to get up to speed, try to get, show everyone that I'm ready to go take the Super Bowl, attack the Super Bowl. And now the rest of the team's kind of gliding in, ready to kind of get ready for the playoffs. So I think I don't want to overanalyze those last couple of ball games, but I know that Nick Foles is going to have to be expansive and take a lot of risks to put the ball in the end zone if this team is going to go all the way to the Super Bowl. And that is where they need to have a play caller that's going to believe in Nick Foles. And Nick cannot have one of those 4-interception games, 3-interception games. And I think that without playing a ton this season, that's always a high risk. They just have to, both Nick and the coaches have to stare right into that risk profile and say, that's the only way we're going to get there. Let's let it rip.
In other words, channel their inner Bruce Arians. No risk it, no biscuit. All right, Steve, matchup time. Who is your quarterback with the best matchup this wild card weekend?
I think Carolina going back, they've been beaten twice by the Saints. They go back to New Orleans. I like the Saints defensively. I like them offensively. I think the best matchup is Drew Brees against, obviously a good Carolina defense. So this is more about what the Carolina offense is going to offer. I don't think for 4 quarters in a playoff game you're going to see, tremendous explosiveness from the Carolina offense. I think Drew Brees gets the ball back a ton. And then you know what Drew Brees does with that? He figures out a way to go win football games. I like that matchup.
Well, again, rely on that running game. Only 23 touchdown passes this year for Drew Brees because they didn't have to have it. Quarterback with the worst matchup wild card weekend, Steve.
Well, I think I picked Tyrod Taylor. I think that when they had to go to Jacksonville, and to me the Bills are just a tough, mean defense that figures out things offensively. There's not a lot of not a lot even to analyze. And I think they go to Jacksonville. And the one thing I know about playoff defenses almost always show up. Not all, the best. When you're considered, I'm the best defense, and it's now the playoffs, they end up showing up. There's no offenses that don't show up. The defenses do. I don't like that matchup with Jacksonville, and that defense hyped up in their first playoff game in a long time.
Well, look, that's been the issue all year long for the Buffalo Bills. Make enough plays in the passing game, and they haven't done it. It has been the running game, and as you pointed out, that defense. All right, the breakout quarterback wild card weekend is?
Sean McVay is my breakout quarterback. I really believe that this coach is a guy that has been able to tactically play calling. There's not many great game day play. It sounds like game day play callers. That's what they do. But guys that can put combination plays together and coach it through to get Jared Goff to be the breakout quarterback in his first playoff game. I believe in Sean McVay so much that I think Jared Goff is my breakout quarterback.
All right, Steve, we'll see if that happens. Going with the guy from Northern California, the Thunder Snow from Thustwood Drive.
I don't know. Did I sound like a diva? I don't know. Maybe.
Look, I've known you a long time. You're a diva.
Possible.
Just embrace it.
Wake up, Teddy. Wake up.
Own it, Steve. Own it, Steve. Be who you are. Look at him. He's doing the look at me pose. Of course he's a diva. Look at him right now. All right, let's bring in Adam Schefter. Adam, what is your quarterback storyline this week?
Well, first of all, I didn't know Teddy was sleeping on the set, so I'd like him to wake up for this as well. But Blake Bortles, all eyes are on him in Jacksonville because Jacksonville has a championship-caliber roster, good enough to beat out Pittsburgh, good enough to beat out New England if Blake Bortles cannot turn over the football. And if he plays mistake-free football on Sunday, they're going to beat the Buffalo Bills, they're going to advance, they're going to go to Pittsburgh, and he's going to have a chance to pull another upset there. This roster is loaded. It's up to Blake Bortles to make sure that it runs nice and easy, Trey.
Yeah, Adam, 3 straight games.
Teddy.
Yeah, he's awake, trust me. 3 straight games toward the end of the regular season, multiple touchdown passes, no interceptions. Had never done that before, and then the last 2 games, the exact opposite. All right, time for fantasy love-hate issues. Now, there are a lot of teams, leagues that you can play playoff fantasy football.
This is more daily fantasy for DFS.
Okay.
And there's a few season-long leagues that go into the playoffs, but mostly we're talking about DFS here for love-hate. And quarterback that I do love this week, Alex Smith, because with DFS, it's not just about the matchup of the player, but also about their price point. He's middle of the pack in terms of pricing on most DFS sites. You can't ask for a better matchup against the Titans team that's top 8 in the NFL in terms of most passing touchdowns allowed, most passing yards per game allowed. They also allowed the 6th most yards after the catch this year, so expect Alex Smith to try to get Tyreek Hill in space to take advantage of that. Smith, red hot. Last 4 games, averaging 292 passing yards per game. Oh, and since Matt Nagy took over as the play caller in Week 13, they're averaging almost 500 yards a game in total offense. So, yeah, give me some Alex Smith, especially at his price point.
They found that offense, again, that was struggling after that 5-0 start for the next 5 or 6 games. Okay, then the quarterback you don't like so much in DFS.
Yeah, not crazy about Matt Ryan on the road at Los Angeles. Again, in terms of DFS, one of the ways you win is finding value and upside. Not sure there's a ton of it here with Matt Ryan. Past year, there were 154 different instances where a quarterback scored at least 18.5 fantasy points. Matt Ryan did not have any of them. one or fewer passing touchdowns in 11 to 16 games this year. I have the Rams winning this game. That's important. Ryan averages just 12.9 points per game in losses this year. Rams top 8 in the NFL in terms of fewest fantasy points allowed to opposing quarterbacks. Ryan doesn't play as well on the road. Not crazy about him, especially given his price point and the other quarterbacks you get at that level.
And the other thing about that is it translates to real football as well, because it really was the defense and the running game for the Falcons that got them into the postseason more than it was the aerial show with Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, and Mohamed Sanu. Matthew, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll check back with you in just a little bit. Still to come, this weekend's wild card round is a pass-catching paradise. Julio Jones, we just named. What about Michael Thomas? We'll go through our pass-catcher spotlight when we come back. Stay with us.
Love Hate is brought to you by Campbell's Chunky Mac Soup. We'll fill in while you fill up.
Well, hi, I'm already having incredible.
NFL Live, the Titans head to Arrowhead Stadium to take on the Chiefs. Kansas City, what home field advantage? They've lost 5 straight home playoff games. Longest home losing streak in NFL postseason history. Joe Montana was the quarterback the last time they won a home playoff game in the wild card round in 1993. Dan Graziano has more on the Chiefs' preparations.
Trey, in this matchup, the Kansas City Chiefs are the team that has been here before, and they believe that will be to their advantage. This is the Chiefs' 4th playoff appearance in 5 years under Andy Reid and their 2nd straight division title. You look at quarterback Alex Smith. In 6 career postseason starts, he has 12 touchdown passes and just 2 interceptions. That's the best ratio in history for anyone who's thrown at least 150 postseason passes. I had the chance to speak by phone with Titans safety Kevin Byard, who tied for the league lead with 8 interceptions this year, and asked him what it's like to go against a guy that's only thrown 5 all year. He said, I'm not thinking about intercepting Alex Smith. I got enough to worry about with all those personnel shifts and everything Andy Reid's throwing at us. It's about being disciplined and being in the right place. Trey, back to you.
All right, Dan, thanks very much. For more on the team that will be visiting Arrowhead, Titans reporter Cameron Wolfe joins us now. Cameron, running back DeMarco Murray has been ruled out now for that game Saturday against the Chiefs. How does that impact what Tennessee wants to do offensively?
Trey, what it'll do is it'll change the Titans from a 2-back system to a 1-back system. DeMarco Murray's receiving and blocking ability will be missed, but it'll be the Derrick Henry show. One disappointed in how he played last week. He said, I felt kind of soft. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't really think of a 6'3", 245-pound running back as soft. But he only had 28 rushes for 51 yards, and he's using that for motivation this week to have a better day against the Chiefs. It's also his birthday today. What better birthday present than to have a big 100-yard day in his first playoff game at Arrowhead Stadium?
Well, yeah, you're right. Soft is not a word I would use to describe Derrick Henry to his face. I can promise you that. I'm glad he used it. Then there's the quarterback situation, Cameron. Marcus Mariota struggled this year. Some of that was health, but he never really looked like the guy we saw the last couple of years. What are the expectations for him in his playoff debut?
Trey, you're absolutely right. It's been a rough year for Marcus, but the teammates I talked about all raved about his resolve, and it started last week where they saw a different side of him. Typically, he's cool as the other side of the pillow, as the late, great Stu Scott would say, but he showed some fire. 10 carries for 60 yards, and the highlight play was a 13-yard rush where he delivered a nasty stiff arm to Barry Church. And really, it was backyard football, the scrambling, the ability to make plays with the legs that really we saw a different element of this Titans offense and Marcus Mariota. That'll be a big part of the Titans game plan this week. Tight end Delaney Walker told me sometimes you have to play backyard football. Sometimes you have to overcome coaching. And he really believes that their playmakers, starting with Marcus, have to make plays outside the scheme for them to get the big win against the Chiefs this week.
All right, Cameron, thanks. We'll see how it shakes out on ESPN and ABC between the Titans and the Chiefs. Time now for our pass-catching spotlight here on NFL Live. And, Darren, let's start with you. Again, pass catcher could be a wide receiver, tight end, anybody you think that will be a threat in the passing game. Who do you think is the pass catcher with the best matchup?
I'm going with Michael Thomas against the Carolina Panthers. They're going to have some. Carolina's going to be loading the box. They're going to try to stop that two-headed monster in Kamara and Mark Ingram. One-on-one opportunities for Drew Brees on the outside. Michael Thomas is going to have a big day over the middle because he's going to be singled up, because they are going to take shots vertically in this passing game. Michael Thomas will be our breakout player.
All right, so see if they can slow down the run, which would make him be a big part of that. Teddy, the pass catcher with the worst matchup.
I don't have a name. I have a group.
Okay.
And it's the whole group at the Buffalo Bills because...
That's been the problem all year.
Is it the fewest receptions, receiving yards, and yards after catch as a group in the league? These guys struggle. They struggle without Jacksonville Jaguar pass rush coming after their quarterback, and Boye and Ramsey coming and cover them. So it's going to be a long day. The Bills better be able to run that football, because if not, focusing on the passing game, as my old coach used to say, is not what you're looking for against this Jacksonville Jaguar defense.
Especially when you get Boye and Ramsey on the corners and you don't know if Shady McCoy is going to go.
Yes, sir.
It looks like it's going to be a challenge offensively for the Buffalo Bills. Darren, your breakout pass catcher, who
I'm
is it?
staying with the Saints because of the matchups. I'm going with Ted Ginn Jr. on the outside. Gets to play against his former team in the Carolina Panthers. Deep down the field, take the top off the defense. Ted Ginn and Sean Payton, I guarantee you one thing. Sean Payton will at least take 3 shots deep down the field, and Ted Ginn will be a part of those 3 shots. He should have a big day if he catches the ball. Ted Ginn, just catch the ball.
He's going to catch it. Well, yeah, that has been the bugaboo. That has been the bugaboo with him, but he's got the perception of him in those drops is not reality, but he seems to drop them when there's a lot of eyes on him.
Yeah, he's going to be the guy.
He'll be all right.
All right, we'll see what happens there. Meanwhile, Adam Schefter, the pass catcher storyline you are tracking this week.
Well, Trey, Tyreek Hill is the biggest play waiting to happen in the postseason. And Tennessee, as Matthew Berry alluded to, has been leaky in the secondary. And if anybody can come through and make the types of big plays that the Chiefs are looking for Sunday or Saturday, it would be Tyreek Hill himself. He is the wide receiver that can take his team, elevate it in the postseason. He'll have the chance to do it Saturday in the wild card game, 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central, 1:30 Pacific on ABC and ESPN. Tyreek Hill is the pass catcher to watch on Saturday, Trey.
All right, Adam Schefter, thanks very much. You know, sometimes I just wish there was a camera on everybody on the set the entire time, because as we showed that B-roll of what I call the gaff before the half, Tyreek Hill's touchdown against the Cowboys, you could see Darren just seething.
Why do we have to show that, man?
How do we let that happen in the Dallas Cowboys secondary? I'm just trying to pull back the curtain, let you know the best part of the show is what I get to see every day sitting in this chair. All right, lots more coming on this edition of NFL Live. When we come back, quarterback bingo.
Bingo!
We will randomly, or maybe not randomly, select quarterbacks for Steve Young to dissect. Teddy really wants to pull one ping pong ball.
He was overthrowing a receiver who was wide open for a touchdown, had a pick six, had a fumble where it's kind of like a loaf of bread, holding like a loaf of bread in the pocket, not 2 hands, a bad habit he's developed because I think the offensive line let him down at so many points, but you can't be lax with the football, and that cost him 3 points. So if he doesn't have the unforced errors, Trey, they're in that game and may win it. And you think about Josh Rosen, he didn't finish strong either because he didn't play in the bowl game, 32 days in concussion protocol after missing 6 games last year with a shoulder injury. So durability issues with
2-back games. Speaking of back-to-back, Darnold's declaration came just minutes after UCLA quarterback Josh Rosen, his crosstown rival, also announced he will be heading to the NFL. Rosen went 17-13 as a starter in 3 years with the Bruins, and his 16 300 passing yard games are the most in school history. So for more on these quarterbacks and all things draft-related, you bet, we bring in Mel Kiper Jr. Mel, I know you're hanging.
NFL Live, brought to you by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Well, it's official. USC quarterback Sam Darnold has declared for the NFL draft after just 2 seasons running the Trojans offense. Darnold holds the unique distinction of being the only quarterback in USC school history to throw 5 touchdown passes in back. And in there as the storm is on you in Baltimore as well. First and foremost, are you surprised at all that Sam Darnold declared after the season that he had at USC?
I think a little bit, Trey. I thought it would be in his best interest to go back. Andrew Luck did. Think about Peyton Manning. Another year really benefits you. The offensive line should be better next year. The young receivers emerged. Remember, going into this year, he lost his 2 top receivers, and he lost 3 offensive linemen, and that was compounded by injury. So I thought going back would help him, but he's in the draft. And I'll tell you what, Trey, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are the happiest people in the NFL because they have Jimmy Garoppolo, and they don't have to worry about evaluating these quarterbacks.
And they kept winning with Jimmy Garoppolo, which made it even less of an issue that they wouldn't be up there as high as they thought they might be at some point during the season. Okay, so right now on your billboard, you have Darnold, your big board rather, you have Sam Darnold 5th and Rosen 11th. As you've studied them, what do you think is the biggest difference in their games right now?
Well, I think when you look at Sam Darnold, he didn't finish strong. The Ohio State game, unforced errors again. He cost them 7 on a missed pass where